Hey everyone, Vincenzo Calla here. Welcome to episode 3 of Let's Discuss Politics. Today I am glad to be joined by the Conservative candidate for London Fanshawe, Mattias Vanderley. Mattias was born and raised in London, and he worked with his father in his landscaping business from a young age. He got involved with the provincial government and went on to work with other politicians and other different levels of government. He devotes lots of his time to community causes and organizations around London, and now he's running to be the MP of London Fanshawe at the early young age of 20. So thank you, Mattias, for joining me today.
Most welcome. Thank you for having me.
I've had you on my other show, but I always like to have a great number of different types of politicians come, and you're very new on the political stage in terms of running, and it's great to see another young person, no matter what party. I always like to see, no matter which party you're running for, a young person getting involved in politics by running. So I always find that fascinating. So we're going to go on to our first segment, which is called Mattias Story, which is where we'll talk about your political history. So when did you first get involved in politics?
So I first primarily got involved in the 2015 election. So Stephen Harper's final blast of glory, if you want to call it that. And I was on a sign team and did some canvassing. It wasn't very in-depth, and I didn't really know what was going on at that point in time. I was 14. I was there because the MP, Mr. Shipley, Bev Shipley, lovely fellow, went to the same church. I just adored the guy. I had no idea what was going on. At that point in time, I thought the NDP was actually another Conservative party. So that's just how bad it was in my knowledge of the situation. I was just excited to be there, put up signs and hand out flyers. So that definitely progressed during high school, though. So during, of course, the Trump era took over. And during that time, everyone pretty much became political in high school. And I found myself more or less in the Conservative camp, to be sure. And didn't really do much of that until the 2019 election. The main trigger for that, I would say, for me to get properly involved in 2019 would have been the debts and deficits. It would have been just like the scenario that we've been put in by Trudeau and just the endless scandals, the endless destruction of this country. That's one of the reasons why we need to secure our future now, because our future is so insecure under Justin Trudeau. It is, quite frankly, insane. So I got involved in 2019. It's the last day of the nomination for Leanne Rood. I just said, hey, is there anything I can do to help? It's like, yes, we need volunteers. So I went there whenever she was out canvassing, humanly possible. I was out there with her handing out flyers, and I made sure I knew what was going on. I knew the policy handbook. I had the candidate handbook binder. I don't know if we were supposed to have it back then, but I certainly was reading it as a volunteer because I was like, I need to know this just as well, if not better than the candidate, because I'm going to be out there far more than the candidate's going to be. Not just in that riding, but in all the London ridings. I was in pretty much every single riding actually in London. There's 4 of them, including Leanne, so 5. So my involvement really stemmed from just a need to get a strong sort of government in and do what I can to help Canadians.
Well, we see there's so many different stories. Everybody gets involved at a different age. Like personally, like myself, I'm like you, I got involved at an early age. I started paying attention to politics in the 2014 provincial election. I didn't really know too much what was going on. I was like 10. I just liked watching the ads and stuff, and I got involved and not really got involved, but I paid attention. That was the most important part. Paid attention, saw what was happening, and since then I got involved, and now I'm working on campaigns and all that. So just getting involved. So my next question is, why are you running for the position that you want to hold, which is MP for London Fanshawe?
Yeah, so running for London Fanshawe, it's 3 main reasons. So the first one, and this is one back when I was in London West with you, it was the liberal ludicrousy and their insane amount of debt. No country can survive the amount of debt that we've been. Sovereign debt crises are on the horizon, whether we like it or not. And so addressing that reality, not nightmare, reality is key. So that's a primary reason. The number one why calls is that we need to secure our country. We need to secure our future. Number 1 reason. Number 2, my friends and I had always wanted to do something that we can like help people with. And we had done that through charities like Uplift Ontario, Trek for Teens, like very small things. They're not very large scale. They're great. I love them. but they're not the same scale of change you can do as a member of parliament. And so I put my name forward as I want to do what I could to help people in the greater scheme of things I possibly could. So homelessness is still a major issue of mine. So one that I will continue to try on. But trying to help people in every step of the way that I can, especially in London, where homelessness and poverty has really hit hard in East London, that is a major drive. That is a major drive for me because there is so much we can do there. Because while the Liberals have ignored London, the NDP have outright destroyed it. And that's unacceptable. You can't accept that. They continue to go to events, shake people's hands, smile for the camera, and then leave. There is no actual substance. There is no actual plan. There is no funding being secured. There is nothing. There is nothing for the thousands, tens of thousands of families and people who live in London. And that is unacceptable. And the third reason, curiosity, and as well as intrigue, to see what I could do. As I did not think I would actually even get past the nomination process. I was like, I'm a 20-year-old. Sure, I like to think I'm a pretty clever, pretty informed 20-year-old, but I'm still a 20-year-old. But no, I was given the thumbs up to run in London Fanshawe as a federal member of parliament candidate and a successful serve as a member of parliament for that area. And so there's a little bit of that surreal factor to see your face on a flyer, to see your name on lawn signs, and we're going to have billboards, so to see my face on a billboard as well. We're getting artwork done for that right now. And on a bus, because we've been given a bus, so there's a picture of me on a bus now. It's a little surreal. And so that wasn't a reason for running, but it was most certainly a thing that I just found very odd after I've thrown my name in the ring, is that my name's on there. I'm not just helping. I am a little
It's
bit
that
of
this is it moment, like I'm doing it now sort of thing.
Exactly.
And we'll go on to the next segment, which is called Serving as an Elected Official, where we'll talk about your goals to be an elected official. That kind of ties in nicely. So the first question is, what is your favorite part about the community you want to represent, which is London Fanshawe and probably the greater London community as well?
The favorite thing I like about it is probably how it's very much an industrial block in itself, as London East really and London South really just bleed together into one larger small family community. Well, it's not entirely true. They are separate. They are very much separate areas combined in this one riding, but they just have that classic small family feel. That's one thing I like about it. But the industrial side of things is refreshing, as I am a huge supporter of small business, but seeing these massive businesses, these massive plants, these massive institutions, it's a tad awe-inspiring. And that's the one thing I really love about my riding, is that it's not like the other ridings conservatives try to fight it and have a chance of fighting it. It's a riding of scale and size you don't see anywhere else. And that's the one thing I find very fascinating about it, and what I truly love about it.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to compare London to Banff National Park, obviously, but I'm just saying Canada has so many different types of terrains and ridings, and the riding of Fredericton and the riding of Banff Airdrie and the riding of London Fanshawe and the riding of, I don't know, somewhere northern Ontario and Yukon and all that. There's so many different ridings. There's so many different people representing all those communities in one chamber, one House of Commons together, working together. So that's the great thing about Canada, and everybody representing their own area. So we're going to go into our next question, talking about, I guess, as a member of parliament, if you were to become a member of parliament, what do you hope to achieve as an elected official?
So there are, the number one priority of mine is actually recertification of people's degrees from foreign countries. As you've probably gone to a taxi, or you've gone to a little corner store and went to purchase chips or something, and you've probably noticed that there is an individual who's immigrated here who has like a master's of engineering, but they're working at a general store. And there's nothing wrong with working at a general store. The thing is, if you have that master's degree, it's a shame that you aren't putting it to use. And so my primary goal as an individual, if elected, will be to ensure that people who come here have the ability to get their degrees recertified in a timely process, to make sure that they are able to enter the workforce, because otherwise they can take 3 to 4 years to get your credentials reapproved, depending on some programs. Some of them, you can't even do that. You just have to get a new degree. That's impractical. And the people here, they want to work. Obviously, that's why they are working. But they want to work in the career that they train for most of their youth to pursue. And so to rob them of that just seems wrong. So if you want to bring them here, absolutely. But then rob them of who they are? No. Let them work in a job they want to work in.
That's not the Canadian dream. That's not the Canadian dream. Coming here just to be, not to do what your career is, like to not do what you do for your living is not the Canadian dream. The Canadian dream is come here, live in a great place, open a business, or working for a place that you'll be using your skills. And that's pretty much it. And it's sad to see those people not being able to do what they are trained to do. So that's really a big issue. And we can talk more about it after in our next segment. So the next segment is called Politics Are All Around Us, where we will talk about the world of politics around us. So first of all, before we get to an issue, who is or who was another politician that inspires you as an aspiring politician right now?
Two, Pierre Poilievre and Melissa Lansman. They're very similar. They're both very outgoing, clever. They know the issues and they know the solutions to the issues. Simply put, that is why I love them so much, because most politicians just start talking and talking and there's no substance, and there is no game plan, there is no end goal. And so to see that in individuals like Pierre and in Melissa, where there is that end goal, there is something that they can do to help. I mean, I don't know if you saw, but Pierre Poilievre just put out a video about how he helped an individual get a kidney transplant. True, meaningful change for the little guy, for the grassroots of this country. That is what I really love. And Melissa and Pierre exemplify that.
Definitely. I had Melissa on my show recently, and actually first episode, you're the third, so 2 episodes ago. And really both great individuals that are really just 2 people that want to make change, and something that everybody should do is wanting to make change in Canada, especially as an MP or aspiring MP like Melissa is. And my last question is, what do you think is an issue that needs to be focused on more today in politics?
There are a couple. I would probably say for local areas like London, Hamilton, even to a degree, Whitby would be crime, especially for my area. Crime is a massive thing that has really affected the people of my riding. And so doing whatever I can to help with that, massive issue. On a national scale, unification of this country, formalization of confederation, because right now it is very difficult because each province is very autonomous, which is good that they have the ability to act on their own. But we need that level of coordination. We need to be able to work together. Those interprovincial trade agreements, those cooperation within this nation is key. And I mean, we do have that idea of our 5-point plan. One of the big things we have is securing our economy, securing our country. 2 of my favorite points. They're all 5 great points, but securing the economy for the entire nation. That means interprovincial trade agreements, and whether or not that's on our plan, I do not know yet. But I do know benefiting all the provinces, not just the ones that Justin Trudeau picks and chooses, is a key goal of O'Toole, to make sure all the provinces benefit. And that unified effort, that we're one country, not one taking one from one province, giving it to another, we're working together. That is a major issue I think is really affecting this country, as we are very divided right now under Trudeau. It's quite frankly absurd level of division. So bringing us back together, ensuring we have a secure country, ensuring we have a secure economy, and thus a secure future is key. It's key in my opinion.
That's a great response. Thank you, Mattias, for joining me today. If you like today's interview, make sure to check out our other interview with Mattias on Instagram for top 5 and 5. That'll be coming out if you're watching the premiere of this. It'll come out in 2 days on Friday, the Friday after this interview premieres. And to stay updated, make sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at VCalla2021. Check my website out at vincenzocalla.com and make sure to like, subscribe, and choose to get notifications here on YouTube. So until the next video, I'm Vincenzo Calla, signing out.